Right. So, in the last session, we discussed about in context to the Guidewire testing, right? So, when we are working on API testing by creating a workspace for policy management. Yesterday, in the last session, we discussed about OAuth 2.0, right? So, OAuth authorizations, etc., right? So, that's what something which we have discussed. At the same time, how to create the tokens followed by how to access the tokens. That part we have completed already. Today, I am going to discuss about one of the API ways, right? So methods, right? So in API, whenever we are working on API methods are different. Get method, right? So put method, etc. All that. So these are the different methods wherein we have. So get method is using to get the data, right? So if you want to post the method, or if you want to put the method, or if you want to delete the data, whatever the communication we have created between two different applications. So these are the different methods which we have to use it. At the same time, whenever we are selecting the get method here, whatever the required uh, method of get, right? So when we are working on the API and all everything is what something which we have to be created. In this regard, so whenever you want to create or enter the URL or paste the URL, etc., everything, this is also important for us to understand about the settings part. Here we need to identify the different settings here. So wherein we need to enable some kind of SSL certification verification settings, which is because whenever we are sending any kind of request and all that, so we must make sure whatever the authentication authorization must be performed well in advance. In this regard, so verification failures, whatever happens in authorization, right? So when you are creating authorization, this creates failure creates the results, right? So whatever the results and all everything may be requests and all everything may be aborted. In this regard, it's always important for us to enable SSL certification verifications and all everything has to be performed. At the same time, if there is any kind of automatical flow redirects and all everything we want to do, right? So by creating HTTP responses as redirects, or if there is any kind of HTTP method you will require to follow. All these things will be mentioned over here. So it's always important for us to understand about the kind of cookies which we have be implemented here. So these are all the settings which basically we need to. So anyway, enabling SSL verification, certifications, verifications and all will be there, right? So we don't require to make any kind of changes in this. Next, when it comes to the parameters and all, so here we need to create the parameters, right? So what are the different key parameters do we have? So that creation of key parameters is what something which we have to do. Now, if you want to create these parameters and all, it's always important for us to understand about the kind of updates, right? So for example, if you want to post updates and all, for example, here you want to post an update title called notification. Okay, right. So update title called notification is what something which we have selected. Now assume that this is a new feature. Okay, for example, this is a new feature we are creating and all. So whenever we are creating this as a new feature and all everything, so if you want to make it as a link resource here you can select, we can select the new resources and we can link it. Or else if there is any kind of adding of change summary or something of that sort, we can select it. So this is a notification which I have created, right? So some information we are writing. Okay, so get notifications on the information is needed. Okay, this is what something as a description which I have written, which is a new feature, post update. So here you can see there is a feature which we have, it's a feature, okay? Do remember this is a feature which we have taken. This is a notification, get notification on the information needed is what something we have. Now, if there is any kind of comments to write, right? So these comments and all everything you can write down because these comments, people who are all there in the workspace, because policy management system is a workspace we have created. Here you can see. Okay, policy management workspace is created and a workspace already created. Whatever the testing are we doing, whatever the API testing, etc., whatever are we going to do, everything we are doing in this only. So if there is any kind of comments to write, whatever the required comments, if you want to write and all everything, so those comments can be written over here. So this is how and what generally the new features and all everything were created. At the same time, whenever we are working on policy management workspace, whenever you are working on Postman, using Postman, whatever the API testing we do, especially on Guidewire testing or any of other sort, this is what and how usually this um, features and all everything, this notifications, etc., everything will be created in this regard. So this is all about the session today. If you have any questions and all, please go ahead.